Hello everybody, welcome back. No Man's Sky Permadeath Challenge. We got a lot to do, a lot of stuff that we can show, more than we probably have time to actually. So let's get right to it. I'm here at the base that I've built on, I haven't shown this on camera yet before, but there's a planetary archive there, and this is a pretty cool looking world. See, it's very green. I'm getting sunset now, so it's hard to see that, but I brought you here because it looks pretty, I think it looks pretty cool sunset. Set up these lanterns around, it gives this kind of orange glow to it. I did a lot of work on a number of bases, so that's one of the things I'd like to show you today. But before we leave this system, well, before we leave this system, I should probably show you the other base on the same planet. I've just been doing some experimenting with different kinds of lights in the bases, so I thought maybe I'd show you guys the fruit of that work. Lots of work on my bases since the last video, trying to get set up once again for making our own trade goods. So this base here has a different kind of light, whereas the other one had those orange lanterns. This one has kind of a bright white work light. This is a base I set up because there's a sentinel pillar here, and that allows us to turn sentinels off on the planet. We just interact with this console over here, and I built a base around it so that when I come back, if there are sentinels guarding it, they won't get to see me before I have a chance to interact with this console here. And I can just turn it off. Sentinels are currently disabled, so we're not going to do that right now. But so this is another base lighting idea, and now I'd like to show you the main base. I think this is where I've done the most work, and it's where we're probably going to be having the center of our operation for the trade goods, at least until we get a capital ship. We'll talk more about that later. But this base is being set up as a refinery, and you'll see why that is in a moment. So in this base, we mostly use these ring lights, but we use some of those kind of work light looking things too to light up this area back here. It's a little dark. These storage silos, supply depots, as this game calls them, keep these ring lights from being able to be used on the ceiling because they're so tall. But I've already got a couple of things for our trade goods set up. We've got magnetized ferrite here, we've got oxygen here, and I may do a video just on how the mining operation works, because it's kind of involved. But we have started, just so you know, and all of these are refiners. We'll be using these refiners with oxygen and magnetized ferrite, ionized cobalt, and condensed carbon to create some of the goods, or some of the resources we're going to need to make the goods that we will use to make some very expensive trade goods. I've colored the base a little bit. You can see some of these. If you've actually played the game, you can see some of these are not the default color. A few of these things you have seen before, like these storage boxes. Kind of like this brassy and ebony look, so I'm going with that. It goes real nice with the walls, and you can only have these refiners so close together. They need to be about as far apart as these are right now, so I've set up multiple buildings that have refiners in them, because we're going to end up needing lots and lots of them to get all of our work done once we have everything together. And there's even more underneath the ground that you can't see because I ran out of room up here to put them. Anyway, I'll show you how we get to those. You can walk around to some of them, but instead I've set up this series of teleporters that will just take us directly to the buildings. You can see now we're up here. And so I can load up one bank of refiners and then go through the teleporter. I have some decals on the wall to show that green's going one direction and red's going the other. So we make sure that we keep going through and feeding the things that we need to refine into all these refiners before moving on to the next bank of refiners. This one down here doesn't have a door because it's far underground. And that's the last bank. Once we get through there, then we come back out up here where we started. And we can go through those in reverse order if we want. Now we're back down to the one with no door because it's underground. And if we want to go in reverse order, we just follow the red arrows. Green arrows take us clockwise, so to speak, through our refiners. Found some cool little bubbles on an exotic world. And we've got an antimatter reactor here, so we never have to make antimatter again. For our warp drive, we can just feed some carbon into it, and it will make antimatter. It's kind of crazy. But I think that save point looks pretty cool. Had to open it. That's about enough of that for now. Once I've got a bit more done on the resource gathering front, then we will do a video just on that, I think. There's two things I'd like to show you with the time that we have left. One thing for sure, another if we have time and it cooperates with us. Sometimes when you're traveling around and you come into a space station, you will see not just the usual aliens, Vy'keen or Gek or Korvax. Sometimes you will see exotic looking aliens like this one here. This is a traveler. You can tell because they've got that kind of lavender light effect, and they've kind of got this little bit of a glow on them. You saw that flash just there. And also they don't look like the other races. This one looks like some weird kind of fish person, frog person, I guess. So as I approach the traveler, since their skin is translucent, I guess that's what that kind of blue glow that we see flashing is supposed to represent. As if they were not truly there. Witness. They speak our language. That's good to know. The life form dons a mask of undulating nanite clusters, and for a moment their face appears to become my own. I see myself looking at myself, looking at myself. I'm going to die, I am sure of it. I'm not so sure about that, honestly. This just feels too xenophobic, that feels way too friendly, and I'm not going to leave because that's basically saying we're not going to make a choice, so let's just see what happens if I embrace the feeling that I'm going to die. I died. I know I did. I felt it, like sinking, like being watched forever. And yet here I am again. The stranger smiles at me, claiming they will see me again. Before I leave, they give me a gift. They gave me some nanites. Something that you might not know if you don't interact with them again right away is that was a little bit of a lore entry that we just got. Now we get this opportunity to interact with this traveler as themselves or whatever. And this part of the interaction with a traveler generally looks the same. Like this little box of text might be a little bit different. I just want to make units, get a better ship, share a few photographs. I don't understand why we can't have a relaxed time. It's what traveling is supposed to be. So that's a little bit of his personality showing through there, or its personality, because we can't really know what it is. And then you get these different options to interact with. And you get different things if you give them the oxygen or the small amount of nanites, but if you ask them where they came from for 100 nanites, that's where the real value in interacting with these travelers lie, beyond the lore entry that we get. And we'll continue to get more lore entries as we interact with more of them. I'll probably interact with some more of them off camera. There's been a huge update. One of the things that they've done is they've made the lore easier to access, and I may do some lore reviews later. But we're not going to do that today. So we're going to ask where they came from. Traveler Zutonitis. Yeah, Zutonitis offers directions to a place of interest. And we get a signal. You can see that signal right there. We're going to mark that, and then we're going to head over there. Excuse me. All right, so follow that diamond shape, and as soon as we can, we're going to pulse over there. It's going to take us a few seconds. Looks like that's where... No, it's sending us to the moon. Okay. I was like, it looks like it's sending us right back to that planet we were just on. What's this? Emergency broadcast detected. Let's see what it says. Incoming message distress frequency. Abandoned vessel. It's looks like it's just a drift. Let's see what it says. Reject their lies. Follow us to freedom. The ship is broadcasting the same message over and over in endless loop. Its message has decayed over time, but there are still salvageable coordinates amidst the noise. I will take them. Shut down my receiver and input the coordinates to my starship's navigation systems. One final check reveals no life signs, no further intelligent message from the abandoned vessel. So we've got a new quest, mission thing. We're not going to do that just yet. We're going to go to this grave. We're going to finish the thing we're doing with the Traveler. I wanted to grab that pulse encounter, is what they call those. Because that is a quest line we are going to want to do later. And I'd like to capture the introduction on camera if possible. We have some angry wildlife over here. Down, boy. That doesn't look like the same guy. I asked a question that no one had asked. It was a simple sentinels. What are the sentinels? Where do they come from? Made it my life's work to find but logs, records across worlds. Fallen Traveler's grave is marked by a glyph and epitaph of some ancient technology. Okay, I'll take that glyph. Obtain the glyph, and with it the ability to travel to unknown worlds. We haven't learned what those glyphs are for yet, but it gave us a 1 out of 16. That seems important, so I think if we find more travelers, we'll find more glyphs. I'll probably hunt down some more travelers off camera and share the results of that later. Alright, let's see. What else did we get from this guy? My inventory's a mess. Don't mind that. We got a memory fragment. It says it's a technology echo. If we consume it, then we get... Interesting. Looks like it gave us a survey device. Let's switch to the multi-tool I have intended for scanning and see what happens when we put that on there. Oh, I didn't have it on the one I thought I had it on. One of the new things in the update is that we can package up technology and store it. And that's what those memory echo things are, is they are archive technology packages. So let's get the proper tool out and install the survey device. Technology is already installed. Okay, well, I knew that, but I guess it's not going to let us put it in there. Anyway, sometimes we get systems like that, and other times we get upgrades, like what we have here. Probably not that specific upgrade, but something like it, like some of these pirate upgrades. I did a lot of hunting down upgrades between videos. Can't remember if I mentioned it in the previous video. I think I did. There was an unfortunate encounter jetpacking that led to my death. I had to start over, build up again from scratch, and I said to myself, you know, if I'd focused on getting upgrades, jetpack upgrades, and shield upgrades, I would not have died like that. So we did cover a little bit about these upgrades in an earlier video, and I just kind of went crazy on it and grabbed a whole bunch so that I wouldn't have to worry about dying again to some little silly mistake like that. We are running out of time in a hurry. Let's see if we have enough time to do one last thing. It's a pretty cool purple atmospheric effect that we were having there in the dark. Let's see. We have a base around here somewhere. How far away is it? 22 seconds, that's acceptable. So the thing I was hoping maybe we could do, if we have time, is check out our base computer and see what the next message is. Oh, looks like we're going to come down. Maybe this one's closer. Is it closer? A little bit. We're going to come down right next to that archive where we started. With the really cool kind of Halloween appropriate lighting inside. I just think that looks pretty cool. It's kind of spooky. Kind of got a Forgotten Temple vibe or something. Alright, so let's check out our base computer archive mission. See what it says. Data recovered 32%, new data available. Good, it's already decrypted. Entry 4925X again follows. They came up from surrounded, back above ground now, but they're following me. Should never have touched the eggs. That sounds a lot like one of the things we did earlier, doesn't it? You know, where we were going and getting that antimatter from that abandoned facility, you may recall. Well, I've been hinting at it, but it looks like somebody very much like us has been doing something very much like what we've been doing, and we have found their logs. We're going to find more information about that later. Let's get this thing decrypting the next message. But first, we're getting some exosuit technology, personal upgrade module, retrieved. And now it's defragmenting the next segment. We got a life support upgrade. That's not too exciting, considering we already have 3 great life support upgrades. Let's see. How are we doing? We are just about out of time. There's one other thing I could show real quick, just to feel like we got a lot done this time. Since we started building these bases, we are not going to need these first 2 bases that we built anymore. Why don't I show you this one? I never did show this one. I'm about to delete it. It's very bare bones. It was only set up to be a place to teleport to and use our starship to mine surface rocks for pyrite. During the most recent major update that just launched last Friday, they changed how all these little rocks work. They used to give you mostly ferrite dust and a little bit of a resource appropriate to the planet. They've changed it now so that all of these little rocks kind of offer the same stuff. Now they give you dihydrogen and oxygen and carbon and things like that. So you don't have as much junk in your inventory, but you can't just strip mine with photon blasters trying to get fuel for your ship anymore. So we're going to set up fuel gathering operations, kind of like I showed at that refiner base. So this base is no longer necessary. We're going to be deleting it. I'll do that off camera. And this other base over here has something next to it that I'd like to show you before I delete it. We're going to be running just a little bit longer than I would like, but this shouldn't take too long. This was our original starter base. Got our little refiners here, storage, no lights. I haven't been working on that base because I know I'm planning on tearing it down. But over here, as you may recall, there was this facility. And we didn't go in because it had a reinforced door, and we needed a better gun than a mining laser to open that door. You see we're getting zeros there. And while I was running around getting money and other things, trying to get caught up to the character that died, I found an alien multi-tool, which it's good for shooting things. So I installed a bolt caster on it, which you've seen that before. And a bolt caster can damage these doors on these manufacturing facilities. Unfortunately, it gets the attention of the sentinels. So we are going to just run off a little bit and lose them. And hopefully, yes, all right, 20 seconds. We should be free to go back in there without them bothering us. Now there is an exploitable bug that I could be using instead. Some of you probably already know it. Sentinels aren't very smart. They're not very good at identifying targets in buildings, generally speaking. So we could just go in, but that just really gets my suspension of disbelief. So this is the experience as it is intended to be had. And maybe in the future I'll use the cheap and easy way. So we busted down the door, we've got alarms going off, and we've got a console here. Manufacturing facilities. Well, we'll read the message first. The alarm has locked the terminal. The message displays itself letter by letter on the screen. In a language we don't speak, that's Viking. We only know the word interloper in that language, unfortunately. The alarm shows no sign of stopping. I notice wall-mounted security scanners slowly turn toward me. So I can shoot the cameras, or I can apply an override chip, which would require a microprocessor, or we can cut the input wires, which also requires a microprocessor. I think that's what we want to try and do. It's a little puzzle that we have to solve. I need just carbon nanotubes, so luckily we can just make a microprocessor. Multiple choice puzzle. That's what these manufacturing facilities always give you. And if you choose right, let's hope that's right. The light turned blue. I guess that means we chose right. I apply an override circuit to the security relay. Remarkably, my ad hoc wiring seems to work. The alarm stops and the terminal grants me full access. And our reward, normal operations have resumed and I have access to the facility's main control panel. I should be able to alter production for my own benefit. So we could grab nanites, that's okay, but there's better ways to get nanites than that. We could learn a new recipe, or we could create a multi-tool expansion slot. Now the recipes are the stuff that we need to make, like our trade goods and some other basic crafting things. And I've already unlocked most of that, so I'm not going to grab that this time. But the multi-tool expansion slots, those are going to be useful, because we have multi-tools. I want to expand them, and they get kind of expensive after a while to buy the expansion slots with units. So we're going to grab the upgrade thing. It's just like those Starship augmentation modules that we get from salvaging starships, except they're for multi-tools. So, machinery whirs as the factory creates an expansion circuit, perfect for use as a multi-tool upgrade unit on the space station. We've seen those before. So now we can take that and go up to a space station and use it to unlock one of these slots without having to pay for it. I would guess that my next slot would probably cost me $500,000, I don't know, maybe 5 or even 10 million by this point. They get more and more expensive the further you go, and when you start unlocking those last few slots, they get very, very expensive. So we'll make good use of that. Thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoyed. A little long, but we will see you again soon. Have even more content to dive into. Have a good day, everyone. See you again soon. Bye now.